Perfect. Okay. Deficit always works, but you might not be in a deficit. And today we're going to talk about why. One, you might be underestimating your intake by anywhere from 20 to up to 40 or even beyond percent, right? You might not know how much food you're actually consuming and underestimating your consumption by a lot because you're not tracking. Okay. We'll talk about tracking a different time. You might be overestimating how many calories your exercise actually burns. You might go to the gym, take your burn boot camp class. Some of y'all were in the gym with me this morning. You looked at your watch. Oh, I burned 1,000 calories. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Your watch is lying to you, right? And if you were to burn 1,000 calories every time you worked out, you would die, right? The body doesn't do that, okay? That's called adaptation, metabolic adaptation. When you start to do high intensity exercise for long periods of time, your body starts to preserve itself. We'll talk about that in another conversation, okay? Metabolic adaptation, quietly shrinking your deficit over time. You might be trying, or you've been trying for a really long time. You've been in a deficit since January. That's the problem, right? If you've been trying to lose weight since January and all of a sudden you hit a plateau and you've been in that plateau since May, that's the issue, that you've been trying to lose weight for too long. And metabolic adaptation has shrunk your deficit over time. We'll talk about that another time. Unconscious movement, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, dropping to compensate for a long period of time and fat loss. We'll talk about non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or NEAT, as we get started today. I know that we had to have this conversation. I had this conversation this morning about NEAT and just like your total daily energy expenditure and calculating all that when it comes to calculating your macros. We'll talk about that. The biggest thing that I see most of the time, though, is that your weekends, which tend for most people to start on Thursday night, right? Raise your hand if your weekend started on Thursday. I know it did. You don't even have to raise your hand. I know your weekend started Thursday. Weekends are racing the progress you made during the week. You got 4 days on, 3 days off. I know it because I talked to you. Okay. And then social eating, especially during the summer months, that was hard. The summer was challenging for a lot of people. I talked to a lot of y'all who are struggling this summer just with traveling and barbecues. It felt like in June, there were like four back-to-back holidays. Like I was always eating something in June over people's houses and rosé and sangria and picnic and barbecue. And my God, that was challenging. And then people come into town, they don't eat the way you eat, and your refrigerator looks different, or you go to somebody else's house and you better not go visit the South. Because when you go visit the South, your cousins down there, they don't care about this protein and fiber stuff. They do. I don't care about no salad. Don't take no salad to my house. Okay. So anyways, the weekends and travel and summer making it really difficult to stick to your plan. All of these are reasons why your deficit may not have worked for you over the past several months. But now, today, we're going to tighten that up. You're here because you want to lose body fat. You're here because we're trying to get it back together after this summer slump. And so today I'm going to give you the strategy for that. Here's a big picture. When you create a deficit, you might think that you're eating less food, right? Because everybody says move more, eat less to create a calorie deficit. You might think you're eating less food, but you're not consuming fewer calories, right? A calorie deficit is based on total calorie energy, not the total volume of food or how disciplined, clean, or healthy your choices are. Okay. Small portions of calorie dense food can erase the deficit you thought you created. You put this many peanuts, cashews, almonds, pistachios into your hand, a cupped handful of peanuts, cashews, almonds, pistachios. Would you be able to guess how many calories that is? Tell me when I say like, okay, that's 100 calories, 150 calories, right? Nope. This much peanuts, cashews, almonds, pistachio, I dare you to test it, will automatically probably come out somewhere in between 350 and 450 calories. This much. And you think like I'm snacking on something that's like healthy for me. It absolutely is, except not when the goal is a calorie deficit. Okay. We need to know how much we're consuming. Okay. And so sometimes this comes down to liquid calories being blocked or being blinded around our liquid calories. We don't know how much coffee or creamer or juice or alcohol or smoothies or sports drinks actually have in terms of their calories. So we're trying to create calorie control. Sometimes we really do struggle with this calorie intake when we don't know what's happening on our liquid calories. Y'all went to Starbucks this morning. I know you did. You went to Dunkin' this morning and it didn't make it into the tracking app. I know it didn't make it to your tracker, but that drink that you got from Starbucks Dunkin' this morning might automatically be 350 calories. You need to know that. Okay. Cooking extras, oil, butter, sauces, dressings, cheeses, just a little peanut butter or fill in the blank. That stuff gets really, really challenging to over or underestimate. And then untracked bites and sips. If you're a parent, you are guilty making stuff for your kids or for your family or for your spouse or fill in the blank and you're just snacking while you're cooking along. That stuff is calories. It adds up over time and it's really important for us to ensure that we know where our calorie intake is coming from. The same amount of food can carry different calories, is the whole point of what I'm saying. Okay. Calorie density is about the amount of energy that's packed into the weight of your food. Okay. Foods with more water and fiber tend to have less physical volume and fewer calories. Foods that are concentrated or packed in tend to have more calories in that small amount of space. So you can think about this as like a calorie density spectrum. Okay. Tell me real quick, have you heard this term calorie density? Is this something that you've heard before in your online feed, social media feed? Just drop it in the chat. Yes, no, new information. Yep, I've heard this. Yep, I'm good. Yes, yes, yes. Calorie density. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, cool. Yes, cool. Good, good, good. Let me know in the chat. Have you heard this before? Calorie density. Good. So then when we think about calorie density, we're trying to stay on the left half of our screen here. Okay. Trying to stay over here, generally trying to consume more water-rich produce, more starches and lean protein because they're fewer in calorie. When we go this way, nuts, seeds, cheeses, butters, oils, fats, that automatically is going to lend us toward more calorie consumption. Okay, so a lot of people have heard this before. That's great. Okay, here we go. Calories, we break down our calorie intake into 4 macronutrient groups. Everybody might know this already, so that's good. First macronutrient group is protein. It's the most important. It's the one that's getting all the buzz right now. Protein supports muscle retention, recovery, and satiety. It makes sure that you feel full. You want to build a meal around protein. I'll show you how over this call today. Carbohydrates are also 4 calories per gram of carbohydrate. Carbohydrate is your preferred energy source, especially for high intensity energy. You need to support yourself with the amount of carbohydrates that support your training, your energy, and your total calorie target. And we'll help you figure out how much carbohydrate you need to be consuming today. We're going to talk about that today. And then fats. Fats are essential for your overall health, for your brain, for your hormonal balance. You need fat. Okay. Fat is essential. However, we want to make sure that we're controlling or aware of how much fat that we're consuming, because fat is more than twice the amount of calories per gram as opposed to protein and carbohydrate. So protein, 4 calories per gram, carbs, 4 calories per gram, fats are 9 calories per gram, and alcohol is 7 calories per gram. I know some of y'all went to happy hour last night. Some of us had a glass of wine. Some of us had, a little treat, fill in the blank. That alcohol that we thought, it was, oh, this is low calories, just a shot of tequila, right? It's really important to know that alcohol is 7 calories per gram because that can easily take you out of a calorie deficit. And it lowers your awareness and your desire to control your food environment when you're consuming alcohol. Okay. And you know this, right? As soon as you start drinking, you want pizza and bar pretzels. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about the hedonism scale. Okay, you've probably seen or heard about something like this before. Hedonic eating is eating for reward and pleasure beyond what your body needs to survive. Okay, highly palatable combinations, especially with concentrated fat, carbohydrates, and often contain a lot of salt, can produce a stronger reward signal in your brain that makes passive overeating a lot easier. Okay. So you might think that if I'm eating broccoli or an apple, like that doesn't excite my brain nearly as much as like donuts, French fries, and pizza. Okay. When we think about this hedonism scale, we kind of want to find ourselves like staying on the left side again of this spectrum here, because hedonistic eating tends to lead us toward overconsumption. Why? This is because legendary food pastries are my favorite. Yeah, I've seen those legendary things. I think I tried the Pop Tart, was very disappointed that it didn't actually taste like a Pop Tart. Okay, so what's happening to the brain when we have this hedonistic eating thing? Okay, it's that dopamine and our endocannabinoid systems are all igniting these pleasure rewards, right? This pleasure system, which is also agitating our hunger and fullness hormones that tell us when to stop eating, right? If we find ourselves on this side of the spectrum, eating pizza and fries and burgers and processed food and chips and fruit snacks and all that stuff is just like continuously present, it's going to be really hard to stick to your calorie deficit, just because our brain is now involved. And because your brain is now involved, your hormones are now involved. And we think this is a willpower problem, right? But it's actually a food environment problem and a food selection and problem, right? Like food selection changes how hard our brain has to work to stop eating. We want to build our meals around foods that don't make it hard for us to hear the signal that it's time to stop eating. Okay. Is this making sense? Hedonism scale, foods that are highly hedonic are going to lend us toward more overconsumption. Foods that are less hedonic, closer to nature, less processed, are going to lend us toward less consumption or less overconsumption when it comes to our calorie deficit. Okay, cool. Let's talk about hormones, especially hunger hormones, because I think that like the internet has made this really confusing and it's actually not. Okay. What I just shared on the past few pages is that the types of foods that we eat can manipulate our hunger and fullness hormones. Okay. Let me explain what those hormones are. Okay. We're not talking about cortisol today. We're talking about specifically the hormones around eating that make it easier or more challenging to stay in your calorie deficit. Okay. First one is ghrelin. I like to think about ghrelin as like growl. Okay. Tummy growl. Ghrelin rises before meals to tell you that it's time to eat. The way that you bring ghrelin down is by eating, specifically food that contains like real food carbohydrate, whole food fiber, and produce. Okay. Over time, your ghrelin rises again to tell you that it's time to eat, like this. Boom. Sometimes we can eat foods that blunt that signaling telling us that it's time to eat. Okay. We'll talk about that in a second. GLP-1, fullness. This is GLP-1 is naturally created in your body. Okay. And GLP-1 indicates fullness, which is why if you're on a GLP-1 or you know someone's on a GLP-1, they like don't have an appetite at all. Okay. GLP-1 signals to the gut that after you eat, it's time to slow down eating and reduce consumption. It reduces your appetite. Okay. In order to naturally ignite GLP-1, you want to eat protein, fiber, and mixed whole food meals like carbohydrates and starches. So ghrelin is protein, fiber, mixed carbs and starches. GLP-1, natural release of GLP-1, protein, fiber, mixed carbohydrate. Okay. Let's talk about insulin. Insulin is an energy signal. Insulin rises every time you eat, especially after carbohydrate and protein, and it moves nutrients into different cells. Okay. An insulin spike after you eat is totally natural, but we can control the level of insulin spike and the depth of insulin crash after we eat based on the foods that we choose. Okay. Have you ever eaten and then immediately after got the itis, felt sleepy, and then an hour later you were hungry again? That's a byproduct of the spiking and crashing of insulin. And the foods that we eat can spike and crash our insulin response that can keep us either destabilized when it comes to hunger regulation, or that can keep us stabilized when it comes to hunger regulation. So again, if we eat foods that are as close to their natural condition as possible, we can limit the amount of insulin rise and spike, and therefore the amount of hunger response that we have after we consume a meal. Okay. So far, we're 3 for 3 on just eat real food. Right? There's no fancy term language to this, right? It's just like eat real food. Okay. Leptin is it responds to your body fat percentages. It just tells your brain how much body fat you have, which tells you long term how safe you are in your body. Dopamine, we talked about that on the last page, which is about motivation and anticipation when it comes to food. And then opioid and endocannabinoid system are all about pleasure responses. So the higher on the hedonistic scale that we eat, the more pleasure we get from our food. Okay. Anybody have any reflections about this? Have you heard this explained this way before? Have you heard this before about ghrelin, GLP-1, insulin, leptin, dopamine, and the endocannabinoid system? Have you heard this explained before? Okay, some of it, good, good, good. First time for me. Haven't heard this explained before. Good. First time, not this way. No, good, 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 good. This is good to know because when you hear people on social media, they'll be, oh, you're insulin, right? Like, oh, you're PPY and you're jelly. Just leave me alone. I haven't heard of ghrelin. Yeah, good. Dopamine. No, no, no. Okay, good. So all this to say, your hunger hormones are working to just keep you regulated when it comes to your experience of hunger and your experience of fullness over time. Okay. And we can help our hunger hormones with the types of foods that we eat. So that's what we're going to talk about now. Okay. The types of food that you need to eat if you're trying to be in a calorie deficit. If you are trying to be in a calorie deficit, I hope you can see my screen. Y'all can see my screen, right? I haven't been talking to just an empty room. You can see my screen, right? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So, if you're trying to be in a calorie deficit, I know that you're like approaching deficit, like deficit fat loss is your goal when your plate looks like this. Take a screenshot, take a picture, put it into your phone. If your
We'll
plate
see you
looks
next
like
time.
this, I know, I know that you're concerned with fat loss, okay? Because I can see fiber rich produce. I can see protein as the star of your meal. I can see whole food carbohydrate like potatoes here, brown rice here. I'm not sure what type of pasta this is. Doesn't really matter. Has fruit and vegetables associated with it. I can tell that these meals are concerned with fat loss. I can look at this and know that you're trying to lose weight. Okay. I can look at these meals and know that like it's a flexible weekend. Somebody else is cooking. I'm over my family's house. I had to make a last minute stop for fill in the blank, right? Like when I look at these types of meals, if I'm auditing your food intake, I know that in general, we're just like trying to be maybe a little bit balanced, right? Like B meals, I can definitely see that protein's a star. I can definitely see some produce here. I can definitely see some color here. And that's generally what we want to see, protein and color. But as we go down the list, like to C and D meals, we start to lose more of that protein and color. Do y'all see that? Can you see that just like from here to here, these eating preferences or priorities are different? You can see that, right? Like, yeah, that makes clear sense. Okay, perfect. And then the D meals, it's really difficult for the D meals because of the fat from the cheese, right? I'm unable to even guesstimate how many calories these D meals are because of the amount of fat that's present, right? I have no idea how many calories this might be. Okay. And then F meals. F meals we want to treat like treat meals and should be consumed like once a week or less if fat loss is your main priority. Okay. F meals, pizza, burgers, onion rings, fries, fried food, fast food, fill in the blank, alcohol. These things are so devoid of nutrients, so high on the hedonism scale that you might find yourself like wanting more of them, even if you're full, right? Brownies, cookies, cakes, chips, you might find yourself wanting more, even though you're not even hungry. Like, I don't know about y'all, but on my hedonism scale, pizza is like the number one threat to my success. If I smell pizza, it's over, right? And I know that we all have those things. Like, tell me in the chat, what's your thing? What's your like red zone hedonism? Like, don't ask me about no diet if you bring this to the party. Okay. For me, it's pizza, French fries, pizza, cheeseburger, fry, right? Like, don't tell me that we're on a diet if you bring fries to the party or if you bring pizza to the party. Nachos, yes, French fries. Everybody loves French fries. They're so good. Dumplings, cupcakes, cookies, wings, fries, pizza, anything cheesy. Okay, cool. So now we're even talking about these hedonism foods and like our dopamine signal, right, is starting to activate. Our pleasure signals are starting to activate. We're starting to think about these things that we really, really like. Okay. And just awareness of like this happening in your brain and body helps you to just like be more present when making decisions about food. Okay. All right, cool. So all of this to say, we don't want to necessarily shop for like the perfect, healthiest foods. We want to shop for food that's useful for the goal. Okay. Useful for the goal in that it has protein, it has produce, and that we kind of like it, right? We don't need to be on the full opposite side of the hedonism spectrum. We just kind of want to enjoy the majority of our food intake. Okay. All right, cool. Here's why transitioning into why right now is the best time to enter a calorie deficit. And mind you, we still need to like calculate your calorie deficit. So hold on. We'll get to calculating your calorie deficit here in like the next like 2 slides or so. But right now, I want to talk about why I'm talking specifically about calorie deficit right now versus over the summer. For a lot of people, the summer was a very challenging time to enter a calorie deficit because you don't have very much environmental control. You're traveling, you have visitors, fill in the blank. It is really difficult for a lot of people to make fat loss progress during the summer months. So fat loss is kind of put on pause for a lot of people during the summer months. We might be at maintenance over the summer months, which is totally fine. But now, until about Halloween, is the best time that you currently have to make progress toward this goal. Okay. And that's like practical progress. That's not like, oh, I'm just trying to sell you. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm telling you the truth from experience, right? Like right now is the best time for you to try to work on this because after Halloween starts like all of this Friendsgiving, potluck, shared food eating, office cookies, office pie, office treat. Then comes the holiday season. I don't know about y'all. I love Christmas. I'm doing every Christmas market. I'm going to every Christmas play. I am outside for Christmas. Okay. So then when you think about that, it's like, okay, right now, half of August, all of September, and most of October, there's nothing going on. Okay. There's nothing happening. Most people aren't really traveling a lot. Your kids, your grandkids are back in school. So, like, we're pretty stationary right now. Summer is ending, our routine is coming back, and we have a period of predictability in the schedule. That is the best time to make progress on a fat loss goal. The best time in general is like January to May, when in general, outside of spring break, there's nothing happening because his kids are in school, grandkids are in school, your schedule is stagnant, there's nothing going on. Then graduation day season or graduation season, Mother's Day hits, and boom, right? You're back off of your schedule and routine. Then it's all the summer holidays. Okay. Now we're out of the summer holidays into back to school, and we're not in the holiday season. Practically, right now is the best 11 to 12 weeks that you're going to have to finally make progress on this year. You're running out of legway, right? Like you're running out of space. Now's the time to make it happen. Okay. So let's talk about why and how you can make this happen. Let's talk about setting up your calorie deficit. Okay. You can set up your calorie deficit in a multitude of ways. There's no wrong way to do it, except for if you're not eating protein and if you're not eating enough produce. All right. And then if you're like really crashing your calories, we can talk about that a little bit later. But in terms of your deficit, there's generally two pathways you can take. Now's a good time to take notes if you want to, or screenshot this page. One, losing about a pound per week over the next 11 to 12 weeks. 1 pound per week is a sustainable calorie deficit. 12 weeks, 12 pounds, starting tomorrow. That's from now to about Halloween, the week after Halloween. What day is Halloween on? I believe it's a Saturday. So
Saturday.
follow. Okay, perfect. Thanks. I knew you'd know. So after that, a pound per week is totally sustainable. I'll show you how. Nat, today I'm going to show you how to lose a pound per week. Okay. Totally sustainable. 2 pounds per week is a little bit aggressive, right? A little bit aggressive over the next like 11 to 12 weeks. That's like up to 24 pounds. I'll tell you this, it's possible, but it's only possible with a whole bunch of education, mindset shifting, and like support in your environment. I don't let people do this a lot. Okay. Because I have to know that like when you're done doing this, you can actually keep your results. Otherwise, I'm just like giving you what everybody else gives you, which is like the before and after, but not the after after. And that's not fair. I took your money and couldn't help you keep your weight off. Okay. So then here's how you set up your calorie deficit. One is a moderate deficit. Roughly a 500 calorie average daily deficit is your starting needs. It's usually easier to fuel your training, manage your hunger, recover, and maintain your muscle. And over 12 weeks, that can mean meaningful progress that you can visually see. Like 12 pounds, you look different, right? With 12 pounds of fat loss without making your whole entire life about dieting. I like this sustainable pace. A pound per week between now and Halloween, that's 11, 12 pounds. I'll take it, right? That's a better head start than January. Okay. So let's talk about how we can calculate that on this next page. Let me go aggressive deficit. A 2 pound per week deficit is roughly 1,000 calorie deficit per day because 1 pound of fat, 1 pound of body fat up here at the top is 3,500 calories. So in order to lose a pound of body fat in 1 week, you need to cut 3,500 calories. 3,500 divided by 7 is a 500 calorie deficit per day. Have y'all heard this before? Like this 500 calorie deficit per day for a pound per week. Like you've heard this. Okay, perfect. All right, so let's talk about how we can make this happen for you. How to create your deficit. One, I don't like getting rid of food first. I actually don't like moving the deficit by decreasing your food intake first. Okay. I actually think we want to start with a rough estimate of what maintains your weight. So that might mean as you get started, you need to spend maybe 5 to 7 days tracking. And this doesn't have to be like tracking in MyFitnessPal. This can be tracking with photos. I have a phone full of people's food photos, right? Just observing your food intake up against your weight. If you ate the same way you usually eat and your weight stayed about the same by the next week, you can assume that you ate at your maintenance calories. Okay. The goal is enough food to function. We'll talk about how to set this up so that you can function while creating a calorie deficit. We want to keep our output reasonable. We want to use daily movement and training to support the deficit, not hours of punishment cardio. Okay. So that means a step target, which is probably going to start somewhere between like 6 and 8,000 steps per day, and like an exercise routine that's easy to keep up with. For example, you might do 2 or 3 days in Planet Fitness. Easy. Okay. We can nudge that forward as necessary. And then controlling your hunger, which is what we talked about first when we thought about creating a calorie deficit, is building your meals around protein, fiber, fruit, vegetable, and high volume foods that offer you satisfaction that you kind of enjoy, but that don't agitate that hedonism, dopamine response that keeps us out of control. Okay, let's build this up. One second, let me erase this. Let's turn this into practical terms. Okay. One, how do I know when it's time for me to make changes to my deficit? What if I start my calorie deficit, which we're going to calculate here in a second? What if I start my calorie deficit and like it stops working? Okay. We need to use our weight trends, averages across multiple weeks, not just like one random weigh in. Okay. You'll see that like if you weighed in this morning, you weigh in tomorrow, your weight might have spiked or shot down 3 pounds. That's not enough to help you make decisions, right? We need a long view of maybe a month's worth of data to make decisions about what needs to happen. Your menstrual cycle, sodium intake, if you trained yesterday or today, all of that can impact your weigh-in today. Okay. Your measurements and clothes fit, your waist, your hips, other measurements like how are your clothes fitting? How's your general experience of your physical body? Hunger and hormonal signals. You'll know that it's time to make changes if you get ravenously hungry, like too hungry in a deficit for too long. That's when it's time to start making changes. And then your sleep and recovery. The first thing that I lose when I go into a deficit is sleep. My sleep automatically suffers. And so that's one of the indicators that like the deficit is kind of working. We can definitely troubleshoot what that looks like in terms of your life. If your adherence is solid and your multi-week trend is not moving, there's a small adjustment that we make to either your calorie intake or your movement or both. And we'll talk about that on this page. Okay, how to build your own calorie and macro targets. Okay, let's do this together. If you have something to take notes on, if you have somewhere that you're writing, if you're not driving and just like can listen in and kind of work on this in your own experience, let's do this. So let's estimate your maintenance calories. That's your current body weight times your activity factor. Okay, like how much are you moving every day? So let's use a 200-pound example. 200-pound example is pretty sedentary, not moving a whole lot. So we're going to multiply that times 12. 200 times 12 is 2,400 calories per day, can be this person's estimated maintenance. Okay. So then low activity is like I'm generally getting like less than 5,000 steps per day, not really taking any classes. Moderate activity is I might be getting something like 6 to 10,000 steps per day. And I might take like something like 2 classes per week, or might go to the gym maybe 2 classes per week. And then very active restaurant servers in general, athletes who are training 8 hours or more per week, fill in the blank. So most people are going to fall in this moderate or low activity range. You know whether you should choose the low end or the high end just based on how much activity you're doing. So take a second, calculate your total estimated maintenance calories and drop it in the chat. What are your current estimated maintenance calories? Take some time, calculate this out. What did you get for your maintenance calories? Cool. All right, hold this in mind. Hold this in mind. Get your maintenance calories, your total body weight times your activity factor. Got it. Okay, now create your deficit. In order to lose 1 pound per week, 1 pound per week, you want to subtract 500 pounds. For faster fat loss, somewhere in between 750 and 1,000 calories. Okay. So, for example, if you have maybe 3,000, close to 3,000 or more in terms of your daily energy needs, you can absolutely subtract 1,000 calories per day and be okay. I'd say if you have maybe 2,500 calories to 3,000 calories, you can absolutely subtract like 750 and be great. If your maintenance is estimated somewhere around 2,000 calories, you probably don't want to subtract more than like 500 at a time. Meaning that if your maintenance is somewhere around 2,000 calories, you probably hang out around 1,500 calories per day. So now calculate your, okay, Nat. So you see, right, if your maintenance, and this might be, so your maintenance calories might be based on your starting weight, based on your height, based on your metabolism, fill in the blank. But it might be really interesting once you start calculating these numbers to figure out how many calories you need, because it might be lower than you think, right? It might be lower than you think. It might be higher than you think. So now calculate your maintenance and then create your deficit and let me know what your deficit calories would be based on the ranges that I gave. So I have 3,000 or more, can easily do 1,000. 2,000 or more can easily do 750. And then less than 2,000 probably don't want to be more than 500 calories worth of deficit per day. Okay, calculate your calorie deficit here. We're in step 2. So you're going to start with your maintenance calories, which is your body weight. I'm sorry, this might be small text for you all if you're looking on a phone or computer. It's your body weight times your activity factor. Okay. And then you're going to choose your deficit range, which will be 500 calories, 750 calories, or 1,000 calories, just based on your starting weight. And I gave these examples up here for your starting weight. Okay. Drop your deficit calories here in the chat. Good, 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 good. Good, good, good. Okay, so let me just ask you a trick question. How many people know that they're eating this much? Do you know if you're eating this much? It's like I have this number and I have this strategy, I have this game plan, but I have no idea if that's what I'm eating. That's good, Nat. That's good. We'll talk about that a little bit here in a second. Okay. Let's keep going. Calculating up your deficit calories if you can. I know some folks are driving or running errands, fill in the blank. So now from here, say for example, your deficit calories are now 1,600. Good job, Lori. Lori, me and you, we have a different problem. We'll talk about that offline. Okay, setting protein and fat targets. So for your protein, you want to set your goal body weight times, just do it times 1. Okay, so if your goal body weight is 150 pounds, you probably want to get 150 grams of protein if that's your goal body weight. Okay. Some people have like interim goals where, say, for example, you're starting around like 400 pounds. Like, dang, I just really want to get to 250. Okay. That's okay as well. Okay. As an interim goal. And then your fat calories will be your total calories. So if you have 1,600 calories times about 30% or 0.3. Okay. Divided by 9. I know there's a lot of math, y'all. 9 is is the amount of calories per gram of fat. Okay. So if you have 2,000 calories per day that you need times 0.3 is you need 600 calories worth of fat. 600 calories of fat. You're going to divide that by 9 because that's how many calories per gram of fat that you have. And that'll be 66 grams of fat. Okay. Any questions about this so far? So right now I should have 3 numbers. I should have my estimated maintenance, which we're going to say is 2,500 for this example. I should have my deficit, which I'm going to create a 500 deficit. So now I need to be eating 2,000 calories. I should have my protein, which is my goal weight times 1, 150 grams of protein. Then I'm calculating my fat, which is my calorie needs, 2,000 times 3 or 0.3, 30%, divided by 9, which gave me 66 grams of fat. Okay. Now my carbs get the rest of this. Okay, so you're going to do the remaining calories that you have left over, excuse me, divided by 4. So long-winded story. From here, with 2,000 calories, I have 150 grams of protein at 4 calories per gram. 150 times 4 is 600 calories of protein. I know this is getting long-winded. We're going to do an example together here in a second. 600 calories worth of protein. Then I have 66 grams of fat at 9 calories per gram, which is going to give me 594 calories from fat. In total, that's 600 plus 594 gives me 1194 total calories that are going to protein and essential fat because I need them to survive. You need protein, you need fat to survive. That's why we calculate those 2 numbers first. Okay. Protein and fat. Out of that, you're using your deficit calories. Good question. Out of that, 1194, I still have 2,000 calories that I need to try to meet. So I'm going to do 2,000 calories minus that 1194, which is calories that are allocated to protein and fat. That gives me 806 calories that I can allocate to carbs. Carbs. Okay. I'm going to take that number. Carbs get the rest. I'm going to take my remaining calories, which is 806 calories. I'm going to divide that by 4, and that gives me 201 grams of carbohydrate. This is how you calculate your macros. Okay. Screenshot this page, play with this a little bit later. If you have questions, I'm going to give you my phone number at the end of this. That way we can sort through your questions and help you figure out what your calorie target needs to be. Okay. Screenshot this page in 3, 2, and 1. Perfect. All right. A deficit always works. I just showed you how to calculate it. I just asked you if you knew you were in one, asked you what your maintenance calories were, what your deficit calories are, how to figure out what your protein needs and carb needs are. A deficit always works, but why hasn't the deficit worked for you? I just made the example of like if I put you on a stranded island, you would lose weight because you wouldn't have any resources, right? So if a deficit always works, no matter how old you are, how much training you do, or fill in the blank, why hasn't it worked for you? Okay. And there's some reasons why. Let me just set this up real quick. Here's what I want us to do. There are 20 questions. We're all going to start with a success rate of 100% success because a deficit works 100% of the time. And we're going to answer these questions yes or no. Okay. Every time you have a yes, you're going to subtract 5% success rate from your 100%. Okay. So for example, I'm going to go down this part 1 here, food selection. I eat a lot of highly hedonistic, high reward foods that make stopping harder. If I say yes to this, then my 100% just became 95%. We're subtracting. Does that make sense? So right now, I want us to kind of take a moment to estimate why my deficit hasn't worked based on my behavior when it comes to staying in a deficit. Okay. So take some time. I'm going to ask you some questions and I just want you to tally your yeses. Okay. Your job right now is to tally the number of times you say yes. There's 20 questions. You ready? 20 questions. Tally your yeses. Here we go. Food selection. Question 1. I eat a lot of highly hedonistic, high reward foods that make stopping harder. Yes or no? If you got a yes, give yourself a check mark. 2, my meals are often too low in protein. Yes or no? If you answer yes, give yourself a check mark. 3, calorie-dense snacks, oils, sauces, drinks, or healthy extras add up without me noticing. Yes or no? 4, I rarely build meals around high volume, high fiber foods. Yes or no? 5, I often eat distracted, rushed, or past my comfortable fullness. Yes or no? 6, I start too aggressively in my deficit and hunger becomes hard to manage. Yes or no? 7, I try to create the whole deficit through eating less instead of combining intake and movement. 8, I do not have a realistic plan for weekend social events or travel. 9, I change my calories too quickly instead of holding steady long enough to evaluate. 10, I do not have clear calorie, protein, step, or training minimums or goals. Yes or no? 11, I react to single weigh-ins instead of looking at trends for my weight. Yes or no? 12, I ignore measurements, photos, clothing fit, or performance when I judge the process. I ignore my measurements, photos, or clothes fit. 13, I mistake water retention from stress, sodium, training, sleep, or my cycle for fat gain. Yes or no? When the scale is up, I think it's fat. Yes or no? 14, I see you. 14, I adjust the plan before I have 2 or 3 weeks of consistent data. Yes or no? 15, I ignore hunger, sleep, recovery, energy, cycle changes, or declining training performance when I'm in a deficit. Yes or no? Everybody should answer yes to this. Everybody should have a yes on 15. 16, behavior and mindset. One off meal plan or off plan meal often turns into an off plan day or week. Yes or no? 17, I frequently restart Monday instead of correcting at the very next meal. Yes or no? 18, I rely on motivation instead of routines, defaults, and structure. Yes or no? 19, stress, boredom, social pressure, reward, or emotionally eating regularly push me beyond my plan. Yes or no? And 20, I tell myself I know what to do, but struggle to execute consistently. Yes or no? Calculate your yeses, okay? Every yes is worth 5. So if you have 15 yeses times 5, I don't know math anymore, y'all. I had to know it in high school. I don't know math no more. 75. Okay. 75%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my calculated yeses, 15 times 5, and I'm going to subtract that from 100. 100 minus 75 gives me a 25% chance of success on my deficit. I just did all that work to calculate my deficit just to realize that I'm not supporting myself and staying in one. So what was your number? No shame. No shame was this is a safe space. There is no shame here for what your number is because our objective is to make sure that you have the tools and resources to have 100% success rate on your calorie deficit. What was your number? Good, 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 good. Drop them in here, safe space. Drop them in. Good, 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 good. Drop them in, drop them in. What are these numbers? Your chances of success with this. Good, 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 good. Okay. I appreciate y'all doing that. And I think it's important to kind of evaluate like the deficit is more than just the number. The deficit is the behavior behind the number. How do I ensure that I can actually stay in my calorie deficit for this 11, 12 weeks before Halloween? I need to cover this stuff. Okay. That's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to help you improve your chances of success. That's why you're here. Okay. We realize that like we have these gaps in behavior to support our calorie deficit. I'm here to help close the gap on your chances of success in this deficit over the next 12 weeks. It's literally my job. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Five pillar approach, the essential skills that need to be developed for fat loss to actually work. We're going to do the same thing, but now in the opposite. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to ask you a question. You tell me yes or no. Okay. Yes or no. Number one. Do you want to stop feeling like food is running the show and build meals that actually keep you satisfied? Yes or no? You can drop that in the chat. Just like say, just type a why, right? Yes. Why? Yes. Why? Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Just like that. Two, do you want routines that hold up when you're busy, stressed, tired, and not motivated? Just drop a why. Three, I want my weekend social events and travel to stop undoing my progress that I made during the week. Yes or no? I need my environment and meal prep to make the better choice easier, not harder for me. Absolutely yes. I want better sleep, hydration, digestion, and stress management so I'm not constantly fighting my body during fat loss. Yes. I need to move more without feeling like I have to live in the gym. Yes. I need a realistic daily step movement target that I can actually maintain. Yes. I want exercise I enjoy enough to stay consistent with long term. Yes. I want my strength training to be in a way that protects my muscle while I lose fat. Yes. I want to see myself getting stronger and fitter instead of only judging my progress by the scale. H, yes. Okay. I want to finally understand how much I should be eating instead of guessing. Yes. I need to know where my calories are sneaking in without feeling like I have to obsess over every bite. Yes. I want enough protein, fiber, and food volume that I can lose fat without being ridiculously hungry. Oh my God, yes. I hate being hungry. When I asked you at the top of the call, what's your least favorite fitness trend? It's hunger. I hate being hungry. I need to understand what my weight, measurements, photos, and performance are really telling me. I want to understand that. Yeah. I want to eat foods I enjoy and still feel confident that I'm making progress. Yeah. I need a calorie deficit that is actually aggressive enough to work without making me feel miserable. Yeah. I don't want to be in a 100-calorie deficit every day. It's not going to do anything. It's going to take me 6 months to see progress. I need the deficit to actually be motivating for me so I can see my progress. Okay. I want to know when to stay the course instead of panicking over one weigh-in or a few bad days. Yes. I need to recognize when my deficit has gone too far. My hunger, energy, or training are starting to suffer. Yes. I want a plan that accounts for my real life because I commit months to fat loss. Yes, I need clear calorie, protein, movement, and training targets so I know exactly what success looks like. Yes. And then learning to maintain this. I do not want to lose the weight just to gain it back. What's the point in going through all that trouble just to be back where you started? Okay. Everybody should be answering yes to that. Drop your yes in the chat. I want to learn how to eat more without feeling like I'm losing control of myself. Yes. I need the habits that got me results to become normal enough that I can keep them. That's the point, is that your habits, your fitness habits become your new lifestyle. Yes. Okay. I want a maintenance plan for vacations, stressful seasons, and social events and real life. I want to live my life without feeling like I have to live in the gym. Yes. And I want to trust myself to keep my results without constantly feeling like I have to start over. Yes. Absolutely. Okay. And these are the five pillars of successful fat loss. This is what I wanted to illuminate to you that, like, the calorie deficit piece of this is the easy part. It's all this stuff that needs your attention in the background. So now, here's what I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask for one live participant, one brave soul to hop off of mute, to turn their camera on, and to tell me what's been going on in your world. We're going to have a fitness therapy session live on Zoom. Okay. With that, we're going to talk through the five pillars, identify where your breakdown is happening, and clarify what your absolutely next best step needs to be. Okay. So, brave soul, hop off. Let's talk. I just got out the shower. Brave soul, let's talk. And let's talk and let's help the people on this call get free. Nat, come on off, Nat. Let's talk. Where are you? Hey,
Hello. Can you
how
see
are you?
me?
Yes, I
I'm
can
good.
see you. How
How
you
are
doing?
you?
Good. What's up?
Um,
Why?
so yeah. So honestly, sometimes I feel like I wonder if a GLP-1 is the only way I'd actually sustain a deficit long enough to drop my body fat because hunger and food, they definitely really mess with my head. And I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
everybody in here can relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
But the bigger issue isn't just the calorie intake. I have a long injury and chronic pain history, so my activity level swings hard. And like sometimes I'm doing stretches of 8K steps a day, lifting 2 to 3 times a week, cardio, PT. And other stretches, I'm like 100% sedentary and just not physical because it's like a depressive shutdown from not being
Mm-hmm.
able to do basic things like walk or sometimes when I'm having issues walking, I'll get in the pool or lift if I'm having back pain. So when I hit that low point, even like I know my resting metabolism rate will drop pretty quickly. So then there's this whole like mental roller coaster of, okay, have I just entered a period where I need to reduce my calorie intake just to stay at a maintenance? And am I even in the headspace to be able to do that right now?
Mm-hmm.
Do I even have the energy to do that? So when I say consistency is hard, it's definitely not just willpower and it's not knowing what I'm consuming because I'm super disciplined with food tracking. It's actually like an anti-anxiety mechanism for me. If
Mm-hmm.
I stop tracking, then I start getting really stressed out. It's like, okay, any movement on the scale, I'll freak out because I don't know how accountable I am for my food
Mm-hmm.
intake. Um, so yeah, it's just like a whole system that's constantly recalibrating around pain
Yeah.
and mobility, not just food.
You're trying to identify what your strategy needs to look like when the game plan is constantly changing. And it's not
Yes.
constantly changing because, like, you're inconsistent or you don't care, you're not motivated. It's constantly changing for reasons outside of your own control. And so you're
Mhm.
trying to determine, like, and I think you said in the chat too, like, dang, my calories will have to be super low. Is this sustainable for me? And I think that's a real question that a lot of people have to ask themselves, especially based on your starting weight, based on your height, based on your age. If you don't mind sharing, are you open to sharing like a few more details? Okay. How tall are you?
I'm 4'10" and a half. I'm
Okay. This is a
tiny.
big problem. No shade. Big problem for short people is that their metabolisms are lower, right? Their starting point for a deficit is going to be lower. Okay. And now, are you comfortable sharing your current weight and your goal weight? Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah. So just for context, I was an athlete my whole life. I used to
Hmm.
dance. I danced in college. And then I got injured really young, and so my highest weight point was 3 years ago at like just under 160 pounds.
Hmm.
Which numbers wise probably doesn't sound like a lot, but on a body frame that's as
Small
tiny as
frame.
mine, yeah. So then 3 years ago, I moved back to the States and I started a weight loss journey. I went from 160 to 135-ish, 134 in like
Hmm.
a year and a half. So that was
Okay.
the fastest drop.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, today I weighed in at 132.3.
Okay.
I had a coach for like 18 months last year.
Mm-hmm.
Learned so much. I've been
Mm-hmm.
applying, everything I've learned. But I did go up 10 pounds
Since stopping with the coach.
I stopped with a coach and so it was a combination of like life got really, really busy. I was
Mm-hmm.
working full time and studying in the evenings. And so I became very sedentary, but I was keeping up my 8K steps a day. And then
Mm-hmm.
in May, I had an ankle flare up and I have been barely been able to walk like more than 10
Mm-hmm.
minutes a day since
Yeah.
May. So the scale between January and now it was like for the first 3 months, she was like, "Don't worry, it's not fat gain. It's like let's try to keep up with the steps and at least get
Mm-hmm.
2 workouts a week." My training ended, and then I tried to start, like panic exercising because of the weight, which is a mental trend that I
Yeah,
always
sure.
deal with.
Mm-hmm.
But because my metabolism's been lower from lower activity, it's just I went from like 123 point something in November to 132-ish now. And I've been sitting at maintenance, what I thought was or what I think is maintenance for the last like 2 months, and now I've dropped myself into a deficit, which is about 1,500. So 1,000 calories. I'm like, oh my gosh, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think I could possibly survive 1,000 calories a day.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is like your weight is swinging just based on your ability to be consistent with your activity routine. But it sounds like this is actually a nutritional baseline, right? It's like, how do I set up my food environment to ensure that I'm staying in this calorie deficit that's required? Like, it might not be 1,000, it might be 1,200, especially if psychologically you allow the process to take a little longer, right?
Mhm.
Because the threat that you're currently up against is my weight might be swinging because my calories are also swinging. Right. My food intake and my activity output is also swinging. So my weight is just following that trend. Right. And so, in order to support your metabolism to not overreact to being in a deficit, right? Like 1,000 calories is really low, right? And like if you're having to go for 1,000 calories, we probably wouldn't ask you to do that for like longer than 4 weeks or so. That's essentially considered a rapid fat loss pace. Okay. So I think my recommendation to you is to explore what it looks like for you to lose body fat at an even slower pace than a pound per week. Just because your frame and your size and your metabolism, based on what you've shared with me, obviously I don't know, we need to have a continued conversation, but based on what you've shared with me, it doesn't sound like your metabolism is in a happy place right now. It sounds like your metabolism is just like floating, right? And so a slower pace of fat loss might actually help to support your metabolism to find the stability point where it's not constantly vacillating between two extremes. Okay. So that
Mhm.
might not be a pound per week for you. That might be like
Mhm.
half a pound per week or 0.25 pounds per week for you to get to your new low maintenance that you're looking for, which like might not be a 12-week thing, right? That might actually end up being another 18-month thing. So you can allow your body weight settling point to trust itself at whatever low that you're looking for at 120. Now, like I said, I obviously don't know a whole lot. We can continue this conversation offline or after we finish today. I'll do some Q&A. We can continue the conversation. But I appreciate you jumping off and sharing what some of your experiences, and I hope that's helpful. What do you think of
Yes,
that?
thank you. Oh, I like it. I love hearing different perspectives and not having worked with somebody for a period of time to kind of chill and apply what I
Hmm.
learned and live my life, you know.
Yeah.
It's nice to thank you so much for doing this today and
Yeah.
for providing something, free of cost so that
Yeah,
lots of people
absolutely.
can access it. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So what I just recommended to Nat is like based on her height, based on her activity, and based on how that swings because of like things that are outside of her control, I recommended that she doesn't do either of these things. Not a pound per week and not 2 pounds per week. I recommended that she go like zero point 0.5 pounds per week, which would be like a 250 calorie deficit, right? Or like 0.25 pounds per week, because it sounds like her metabolism is fighting against her attempts to lose weight. Obviously, I don't know, but based on her story about this vacillating, swinging over the past 2 years or so, I really do think that slowing down the pace is more supportive of the metabolism, especially when you've been trying for a long time. And that's something that we can talk about one off. Can severely under eating cause issues? Absolutely. And I think this is a big, I know I'm going overtime. I'm going to go overtime today. So like, please hang out. I still have something to give y'all at the end of this. I have a question in the chat that says, can severely under eating cause issues? Absolutely. And like, this is my primary issue with GLP-1 usage is like a GLP-1 can completely blunt your appetite for like an entire week. It can force you into not eating for like days at a time. Okay. But like your body needs nourishment. You're doing things, you're talking to people, you're thinking, you're cognating, you're taking care of your family, taking care of your kids. You have to keep your job. And then at the end of this, you want to keep your metabolism and you want to keep your muscle mass. But if you're not eating, chronically under eating, not only not only are you like not meeting your body's daily needs for today, where weight loss might look like this white line here, where like sometimes we go up and like gradually sometimes we plateau and then we might get back to it and like we might plateau and fill in the blank. That's what weight loss looks like. But if you're taking a GLP-1 or you're like chronically under eating, the issue is that that chronic under eating tells your hormones, tells your metabolism to slow itself down. This is metabolic adaptation. Metabolic adaptation is like your body will follow the trend line of weight loss up until it starts to try to keep you from dying and like crashes your metabolism. And this can cause like a 500 calorie gap between what you think you're eating and what the body is processing as you eating. This is metabolic adaptation, where your metabolism slows down hair growth, nail growth, hormonal function, brain function, skin regeneration, tissue regeneration, fill in the blank. Your body will slow itself down to preserve more calories. So where you thought you were in a 1,000 calorie deficit is only a 500 calorie deficit due to metabolic adaptation. Okay. This is a deeper conversation for another time, but I hope that's helpful. Was that helpful? Did that answer your question? Can severely undereating cause issues? Okay, perfect. All right, cool. Let's keep going. So we talked about the five pillar approach. We exercise this in real time, and this is where I start to kind of talk about what I do and the opportunity that I have available for everybody who's on the call today. I help people do this. Not just because I did this, but I did it and became passionate about it and started sharing with people and like found the rabbit hole that was actually helpful, which is protein resistance training and understanding my metabolism and hunger hormones. And that's what I teach, right? That's why we're here today. Hopefully that's what you feel like you're walking away with today. Okay. So I have something for you. One, I want you to ask yourself, do you really trust yourself to get to the finish line this time? Okay. You can absolutely do this on your own. I gave you the tools to do this by yourself. Okay. But for those of you who are wondering, like, when I did that question and answer about my percentage of success, like I see that I have some gaps and I need to close those gaps up. Okay. I want you to ask yourself these questions. Do you know how many calories your body needs to lose fat? You might be closer today after we did that little workshop. Okay. Two, do you trust yourself to stay in your deficit for 11 consecutive weeks, even when life gets messy? Ask yourself yes or no. Three, looking at your audit of success, would you bet on your current strategy actually working this time? Yes or no? Four, when your old patterns show up, weekend, stress, cravings, I'll start over Monday, do you know how to stop yourself from spiraling? Yes or no? And then five, if your progress stalls, will you know what your body is telling you or will you be guessing? Okay. And this is what I'm here to help you solve. So let me explain what that looks like. Let's do a strategy session. Okay. In this strategy session, I'm going to send you this essential skills and metabolic health assessment so we can see the full picture of what's going on. Like Nat and I started a conversation. We'll start a conversation exactly based on what I'm sharing with you right now, which is the essential skills assessment. Okay. This will be a 30 to 45-minute strategy session about your goals, your strategy, your approach, and the pitfalls, excuse me, the pitfalls that might be keeping you stuck. Okay. Complete the essential skills and metabolic health assessment so we can see the full picture. Two, we'll audit your nutrition, habits, movement, sleep, stress, and your current fat loss strategy to make sure that you can actually make progress in this 12-week window that we have. Okay. Three, I'll identify the highest impact gap across all five pillars. Okay. Four, we'll leave knowing exactly what you can do right now to start making progress again. Okay. Here's what I want you to do. If you're interested in this strategy session, This is again free of charge. Okay. Strategy session, 30, 45-minute strategy session, free of charge. Somebody drawing on my screen. I want you to text the word finally to 202-240-8262. That's my personal cell. I have my phone right here. Okay. 202-240-8262. Text me the word finally to 202-240-8262. And we will schedule this strategy session as soon as I stop teaching today. I want you to text me 202-240-8262, and let's set up a strategy session so that you can actually know what you need to do in order to be successful in this 11-week window that we have coming up before Halloween and the holidays start. So you're texting me 202-240-8262. I have my phone open right here. I'm going to text you back right now. Okay. Go ahead and text me. And here's why I want you to do this. Okay. When you text me, I'm going to text you back personally once we hang up this phone today. Okay. We're going to hop on a 30 to 45-minute strategy call. Okay. We're going to audit what's actually blocking your fat loss. We're going to talk about the behavior patterns, the leaks, the physiology, the psychology that's getting in the way of you actually making progress on your deficit. And I'm going to show you if you're interested, right? Like this is free of charge. If you're interested in coaching, we'll talk about coaching. But before that, I actually want to help you be successful in this 11-week window. So the strategy session is free of charge. If you're interested in coaching, we'll talk about it. But I want you to text me the word finally. 202. I have two text messages so far. Thank you. 1442 and 2019. I got you. I'm going to text you back as soon as we hang up. Text me the word finally. And that's the hardest part. Okay. Can you go back 2 slides for a sec? Yep, I sure will as soon as we're done with this. Text me the word finally, 202-240-8262, and I will text you back. Okay. Here's the deal. I have added, or I came from a background of adding lose weight to my January to-do list for over a decade. I am absolutely tired of these conversations, right? And I think I'm talking to people who like are ready to actually be in bodies they love, who are ready to like finally feel confident in their strategy and their approach to their journey and to their success. And that's what I'm here to help you do. Okay. In this section, this strategy session that we're going to schedule, this 30, 45-minute strategy conversation, we're going to talk about your goals and what's going wrong with your current approach. We're going to get you some clarity so that you can enter this next 3 months with success. And then you're going to leave with exactly what your strategy needs to look like. Okay. I have 4 text messages so far. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Text me the word 202-240-8262. I'll hang out for a second with people who want to continue the conversation, learn a little bit more about what we're offering. But as soon as you text me, I will text you back once I hang up the phone today. We'll get scheduled for our 30, 45-minute strategy session. I'll probably do most of those on Monday and Tuesday of this upcoming week. But I appreciate you all for making some time today. Please do text me 202-240-8262. Absolutely. Everybody can do that. Everybody should do this, right? My current clients, new people, former clients, fill in the blank. It doesn't matter. Everybody needs a strategy session before they go into this 3-month period of time. Okay. So text me. Doesn't matter who you are. 202-240-8262. So we can set up your strategy session. Okay. All right, cool. Let me hang out with whoever is online. If you have an additional question, have thoughts, reflections, fill in the blank, I am happy to share. Good. I have 5 messages. Thank you. Keep texting. Keep texting. Thank you so much. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. Good. I'm texting everybody back, I promise. As soon as I hang up today, I'm texting everybody back. You're so welcome, Kathy. You have a wonderful weekend. 202-240-8262. Text me. I'll text you back. I'll text you back. Text me. I'll text you back. I'll text you back. Do 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 do. All right, I'm texting people back right now and hanging out for people who have questions. Monday. Texting people back right now. Do do do. Do do do. Do do do. All right, questions. You sound like the floor guy here who says call myself. Hanging up for my call. Hanging on for my call. Hey, Gail. Yep, I got you. Thank you for your patience. Hey, Dezetta. All right, who else? Good, 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 good. Texting folks back. Text me 202-240-8262. See you later. Please text me. I'm right here on the phone. I'm texting folks back. And if you have questions, go ahead and hop off. Hop off of mute. Go ahead and ask your question, and we can get you sorted. If not, text me 202-240-8262. Let's do your audit. All right, cool. If
Coach, I just
no,
wanted you to go back a few slides when you have the
okay.
time. Thank you.
Which one?
I'm sorry, go forward. Not that one, not that one, not that one. That one. That's the good one.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, appreciate it.
Of course. Have a great weekend. Anybody else? Questions, reflections, want to text me? 202-240. Can you please show me the slide for calculating macros? Absolutely. Let me see. No, no, no. Okay, this one. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger. Gail, thank you for your patience. We'll definitely need to strategize a little bit better. Math for the macros. Okay, there we go. There's a macro slide. You're welcome. PCSTRM. Who are you? Who is you? What's your name? Tambra. Okay, we're texting right now. Got you. Cool. All right, I'm texting folks back. You're welcome, Octavia. Hey, text me 202-240-8262. 202-240-8262. Let's set up your audit. Getting folks scheduled right now. Karen Octavia, text me. Thank you so much. All right, perfect. If you have additional questions, I'll hang out for another minute or two. If you don't, I will see you at the next one. Thanks, Daphne. I'm so glad you're able to make it. Feel better. Linda, I'm sending you the invitation right now for 8:30 on Monday. You're welcome, Marcy. Have a good weekend, love. It's good to see you. You're welcome. You're welcome. See you later, Kathy Ann. I got your message too. All right. Karen, Octavia, y'all good? All right. I'm gonna shut this down here in just a minute. Okay, Octavia, I got you. Hang out. I'll hang out right here so you can keep the number. Hold on. 202. me see if it's on the screen. Let me get the number on the screen. 202-240-8262. That's my number. That's my number. 202-240-8262. Okay, here we go. And Tambra, I am it's crazy that we're like texting and talking on Zoom as well. Okay. Tambra, getting you scheduled. Karen, can you hear me? All right. So Karen, I think I still see you in the room. I'm going to go ahead and let you out, but I appreciate you making some time for us today. You have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and I will be seeing you on the interwebs, okay? All right, let me stop recording.